Hi and welcome to Game Creation. There's a point in every project that I do where just it goes from a kind of conceptual stages to reality, where you just look back and go, wow, this is actually looking like a game. And I think we reached that on Friday. So going into the second week of three, remember there's 3 week project, so we've got one down. I'm happy that I'm at that stage where it starts looking like Tetris, which is good. It's nowhere near complete, as you know. And I had to stop Friday's video a little bit early because I looked at the time and was panicking a little bit because I don't want these videos to be really, really long for no reason. For instance, there's a bit we're going to sort out today on getting the actual tiles right. So at the moment they're all the same tile type. They're all the 0 tile type, and we actually want them to change, and that shouldn't take very long. And we actually want to be able to control the player. We're not going to be thinking about the array at all today, but by the end of the week, I'm hoping we can lay tiles down and start getting it to feel a lot more Tetris-like. I don't know whether we'll do rotations this week, but I'm hoping that we will. So these videos are designed really so I can get as much done each day as possible, with the view of getting it as finished as possible on Friday next week. So wish me good luck. Let's get started. So let's just run it and see what we've got. So we've got the player tile going down. Can't tap any of the buttons on the keyboard to make it do anything, and hopefully we'll do that today. And it just carries on going forever. And so it reaches the bottom, carries on going forever. So there's not much interaction. In fact, there's not any interaction yet. So you can see, actually, let's just say that the tiles are the same for any of the tetrominos. So we need to do that now. And actually, because of the way we've done it, we've made them each the direction, so 0th direction, 1st direction, 2nd direction, based on our numbering system for each of the tetrominos. It shouldn't be that difficult. So when it says draw player tetromino, all I need to do is set the direction of it and do it as a calculation. And this is where I panic because I don't know where this is stored. Current tile, I think it is. Let's hope that that's correct. And if you go in and double click on it and then Control and C on this bit, and then if you click on that one, Control V, it will paste it in, which is actually quite a time saver. There we are. So we've got all that extra one, and we didn't want to drag it because actually the X position is slightly different, and the Y position is slightly different because it's based on each individual tile's position. So let's see if that works. Brilliant. So that's the dodgy one, which we need to sort out later on. So you can see each of the tiles working perfectly, apart from the straight one. Perfect. I don't know why that's cut off. Oh, that must be using the wrong tile. That's interesting. I must have pasted the wrong one. Which I'll need to look into that at another point. I'll save that for the next video. Why not? Right, I want to get going with the controls. So I'm just going to do it simply, and we're just going to use the keyboard for this and not the controller. We'll worry about doing the controller next week, I think, if we've got time. So, I don't know, player inputs. And we're just going to have left and right for today. So upon pressing a key right, and upon pressing a key left. And we'll tidy this up maybe next week if we want more distinct abilities. So this is actually going to be very similar to the on tick. Okay, so on tick, and I can just copy and paste that. So I've held down shift to click on this one, hold down shift and click on that one, then Control and C to copy, and then I'm just going to click here, Control and V, because it's going to be a very similar thing for now. It won't actually eventually be. So I'm just going to drag this and drag this. I want to get rid of this one, it's not an always event, and edit this. So we just want to change the main X, and I want to add -1, otherwise known as subtract 1, and just drag this again, and we're just going to add 1. So adding 1 to go right, and we're adding -1. Like, it doesn't matter whether you add -1 or subtract 1. For this one, you could subtract -1. I just always find it easier going in the same direction. So I would always add and then just make it negative. I'd say always. Sometimes I like using the subtract. It doesn't really matter though. So that's left, left, right, right, right. How perfect's that? Now, you notice that it's actually static now. So if I refresh, it's actually static. And the reason for that is that these are continually firing. So we need to find a way of dealing with that. And one way I could just, so we don't want to deactivate the group on tick. And we don't want to always activate that. But what I can do is just put these together. So if I copy that and then paste it in there and get rid of that, what I can do is just put it in there and put it in there. And so it only fires when the right arrow's clicked. And this is I don't like doing this. This is all very condensed, and it's not the best way of doing it. You want to space them out. So right, right, left, left, left. Pretty perfect. Right, the next bit is to try and break it. So if I pick a nice block, ooh, that's not good. And that's not good there. So that was obviously going to happen. So we need to work out some basic collision detection. In other words, is the player still on the board? So what we could do is put a condition in here. So let's just add a condition. So insert, and we're just going to compare to alterable value and compare to one of the alterable values. Main x, is it greater than 0? Same with this one. So left would be going this way, so it needs to be greater than 0. So it's right is lower than, I think it's 8. But this is what testing's for. There we are. Oh. Okay, because, alright. So this is going to be a problem here. And I knew this problem would happen, which is good. So we go, oh, greater than 1. Actually, it's not going to be a problem, because we've used the same road object. So actually, for each of these, this is the problem here. I knew there was a problem, I couldn't work out what. So it's always going to work on the left. So I'm still clicking left for each of these. That's working perfectly. Absolutely. Oh, almost perfectly. Yeah, it was a problem with this side as well. It's because we're only looking at this block here. The top left for that one. This one here. So that's fine. It can't be 0. But this side, if for each of these objects, there's a different amount of blocks to the right. In fact, most of them there's 2. But for this long one, there's 1. And for this one, most of them, there's 1 to the left. So it works perfectly. But for this block, there's none to the left. This is the leftmost block. So remember what I said about us just focusing on this block. This is going to be a bit of a problem. And this is why we need a bit more of a process here rather than this kind of quick and easy. Because this would be nice to do it all in 2 lines, but realistically that's never ever going to work as intended. So what we need to do is break all this out and have more tests. So we want to work out the tile positions. Then before we do a draw player tetromino, we want to actually work out whether those player positions are good, whether they fit on the screen. So instead of just testing the main X piece, our main puzzle piece, or our main block, we want to test all the blocks and check that they're all good. And so we need to add another condition in there. So therefore we'll need another group, which will be to test the horizontal position, so test that they're on screen. So start a new group. test blocks or test tetromino is on horizontal screen. Not make it active at start. Copy that one that gets rid of it at the end. Just edit that and it's going to be, there we go. Maybe copy a few more of these to give us a bit of room. Right. So what we want to do is we want to activate that group first. Oh, I've said start loop. Activate that group. So test tetromino is on horizontal screen. We want to move that up. In fact, we actually want to delete that because we want that group there. And that's an interesting explain of horizontal. We want that group there to either fire the draw player tetromino or not. So we want to get rid of that. And I click on the wrong thing all the time. Hopefully by the end of this series I will get that sorted and click on the right thing. Okay, so we actually want this to activate that group, and we'll need to put some conditions into it. So group events activate the draw player tetromino, but we'll need some conditions in there to see whether it actually should do it. Okay, so we need to actually test each of the blocks, and so what we'll do is we'll replace, and we'll say alterable values compared to one of the alterable values, and we'll say main x is greater or equal to 0, and we'll need it lower or equal to, I think it's 8. Where's my thing, Rob? I think there's 8 blocks across. So yeah, it's 8 blocks across. So we want it greater or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 8, and then we can fire the draw, which would be good. Okay. We need to keep going with that. So I'm just going to copy those, and we need it for the other 1x. This is where it gets a bit tedious. And there's probably smarter ways of doing this. This just goes with my point I made last week that yes, sometimes there are smarter ways of doing things, but coming up with those smarter ways and then testing them sometimes actually just takes you much longer. And in this day and age, now I know there's going to be a problem with this, but let's just see whether it runs sort of as expected. No, not at all. So let's test other pieces. So that seems to work. So that one works fine. This one works fine. This one works fine. Do we have the... Did I test that? The square block. This is typical with Tetris. You never... That doesn't work fine. So I've put it, left these in. There we go. That's why it doesn't work. Okay. Oh, it goes on forever. No, that's going a lot worse than I thought it would. It's interesting. Now, I actually that was what I expected. Essentially, what we've done is we've said don't draw it, but remember what I said before, that everything clever is done behind the scenes. The drawing bit is the least interesting bit. The drawing bit just does from where where the player... so when you're playing this game, I'm doing a very poor job of explaining this. When you're playing this game, you're playing with the arrays and the numbers behind the scenes. You're not playing with the actual blocks. So this bit here, where it works out the tile positions and updates the active behind the scenes. Because that's doing that, then we've lost, like we've moved that player. And yes, it doesn't draw it, but this block here does draw it. So if you look at this, I move it to the right. It doesn't move to the right straight away, but the tick one will move it to the right. Okay, so we actually need to have a kind of a testing array, basically a buffer, somewhere saved where the old one was, and so we could revert back to the old one if the new one didn't work. Okay, I love explaining things. So when we've updated the main X and Y and tested and updated all of these values based on it, we need a way of going back if it didn't work. So what we need is an old main X and an old main Y. We need somewhere to store what it was in case we need to go back, and I've made that a capital, which I don't like. So going back into here, when this fires the work out the other tile positions, we actually want a bit of a backup. In fact, actually we could do it straight away. So when it says here we are, add 1 to main X, we actually want to store what main X was in case like the move doesn't work. So we want to store that here, like so. And we want to do that first before we've updated it. So we're going to move that right to the top. I'm going to copy that because I want to paste it in here because this is quite similar. In fact, it's exactly the same, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so what we're doing is we're remembering where the X was for that main tile. Then we're adding 1 to it, testing to see whether it works. And if it doesn't work, then we need to figure something else out. So we need a different, we need to then revert it back to the old one. Okay, so if that doesn't work, if this line here doesn't work, we then need to revert it back to the old one. Now there's loads of ways we could do this. It would be nice if we could do this all in one function, and these groups here are basically functions, if you didn't know that. So in computer programming, this would just be a function. This is what we've created here, is a function, because it runs, it's called over here, it's called there, it runs once, and then it stops. And that's what a function is in programming. So we need a way of figuring out that this was a bit of a dud condition, and so the difficulty is what I could do is copy that and then put not next to each of these or something like that. But the problem with that is that I don't want all of these not to be true, or all of these not to be true in that way. I know it's a bit fiddly, and so what I'm going to do is insert a new event, and I'm going to use one of the flags, which will be alterable values, flags, and I want to, actually I'm just going to say always, and I want to set a flag, a temporary flag, to see whether this is done. So flag set on flag 0. So we're going to set that on. If that fires, we're going to set that flag off, and then insert one here. Compared to the flag is flag on. So we're saying setting the flag. Flag is either on or off. Okay, that's the beautiful things about booleans, is they're either on or off. So we're going to set it on here. If this works, we're going to set it off. But if it doesn't, if this doesn't fire, so if the Tetris piece is in the wrong place, then this is going to work. So either this event or this event work. Okay, and again, if you find a neater way of doing it, please write it in the comments. This is one of those opportunities where I'm sure there's neater ways of doing this, and I've probably used them countless times, but at the moment, under the pressure of the recording, this is the way I've decided to do it. So we want to draw the players there, but for this one, we want to revert back to the old main X. So we're going to say, no, didn't work. So we're going to set the alterable value of main X back to the old one. So values, and we're going to go to the old main X. So we're going to go back to the old one if it doesn't work. Now we then need to go through the process of working out the tile positions. So copy that, paste it in there, and we also then need to copy and paste the draw player tetromino. In fact, I should double click on it, copy and paste it in there. So we're gonna put the data back to where it was, and then we're going to draw the player tetromino. So basically we've undone all of the work. Do we need to draw the player tetromino? Actually we don't, because we haven't drawn it, the new one, so we actually don't need that. We can just leave it as it is. So let's hope this works. Not quite. So it goes to the right there and then it just crashes. Interesting. Because it's allowing me to move there and then it panics when I'm actually there. That's interesting. I didn't expect that to happen. Okay, so we have to go back into the code. What is going on? So when I click right, it stored the old main X and added one to the main X. It's then worked out the new positions, which is this one here. So it's worked out all the new positions, which is good. That's what we want. And we're testing those new positions. And if we like the new positions, so switch it on, then off if it's like that, and on if it's like that. Testing those new positions, and we're setting the main X back to the way it was, and working out the tile positions. This should work. So it works for the middle bit, which is great, but then it doesn't work for that bit. So as soon as it goes off, it then switches off. That is a carbon copy of what we've done there. That's all looking good. Very perplexing. Let's have a think. Okay, and this is one of the problems with treating these like functions, because basically what's happening is it's activating both of these groups, but it hits the test tetrominoes on the horizontal spelt wrongly screen first. It hits that group first, and then it hits this group here, and we want this group to fire first. So all we need to do is just drag this down. So if I think you can drag it, but I'd rather just, because I always get it wrong, so I just press Ctrl and X to get rid of it. Why does that disappear? Ah, okay, so I do need to drag it, otherwise this will be removed because it doesn't exist anymore. So let's just drag it there for now, and let's just keep dragging it down to here. There we are. Okay, let's just run that and see if it works. I also noticed that I put 8 instead of 9, 8 instead of 9, so these should be 9. So all I did was just updated these and pressed 9. If you hadn't noticed, I paused the video and pulled my hair out for a few minutes to figure it out, because I don't want you just sitting there watching me stare into space, and that works brilliantly. And all these tiles work fine. Now, something I probably should do is build this into the workout tile positions and have it all in the same group, because we're going to be testing lots of things, and I don't want all these groups flying about. And groups are brilliant. I love groups. I love using them. However, this kind of issue of having the groups in the right order is one that is going to bite you in the backside more often than not. So what I might want to do, and what I might do now, is just drag this into this and add a comment and say test Tetramino position. Have I spelled horizontal right? No, not even close. Horizon. Yeah, that is right. Good. And then have that actually in this, and then just delete that group, and that should remove that from this as well. So sometimes it's better just to have these in there, and let's just see if it works. See if it breaks it a little bit. Nope. So it absolutely works fine. Let's test it for a few blocks. Yeah, absolutely fine. So we've got that actually built into it, and we might want to add to that as well, going on. So we're just testing the horizontal position. Against the board, because we'll be testing against other tetrominos later on as well. So sorry for the slightly longer video. These videos seem to be lasting a little bit longer than I'm used to, but I think we've accomplished a lot today. So we've got actual player interaction, which is always a lovely thing. I look forward to tomorrow's video. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more from us, please click subscribe. We release videos every single weekday at 7 PM UK time. Thank you.